So we've got an example of a performance monitor. This one specifically.
It's my favorite. It's processor queue length. I've talked about it at least a dozen times since I started on lab 2.5 years ago. So, but it's a PerfMon counter.
It is just a PerfMon counter.
It is just, but it's a beautiful one. It's a happy one.
But this is a perfect example on how you can actually pull in different performance counters that are within the operating system. Processor queue length is a perfect example. If I want to pull information about the CPU, average usage, I/O usage, anything that I can look at from a performance counter standpoint inside the operating system, I can actually pull through here. Great.
So what are some of the specific transformations we can do here?
So one of the things that we probably want to look at is fetching method, which we've kind of touched on that a little bit, but it becomes a little bit more in depth. There's a couple more options that are available here.
So let's open up the fetching method drop down. There we go. And these are, there's 2 extra examples, actually 3 extra examples that weren't in the previous one that you saw, which is why we're coming back to it. So I'm going to put a chart up just to look at all, to give descriptions of each one of those. So what we've got is, I'm going to leave default for a second.
Right.
We have 3 methods which are effectively doing RPC. Now we talked about the ports that are needed for RPC and the use cases, right? If you're going across a VPN, across a firewall, you're going to use RPC because it uses fewer ports and you can lock it down. WMI, you have too many ports. Okay, you have too many. You have a lot of ports, and you're going to use that necessarily when you're internal. That's the first thing. But we have 3 different ways of doing an RPC collection. So let's go ahead and run them down.
So the first type of RPC call is managed, and this is a simple .NET call, right? Basic .NET call methodology. The next is external. So this is using the counterfetcher utility that we have. The example here is we're not actually leveraging the operating system, native capability of the operating system. We're utilizing our own utility to actually go in and make that RPC call.
So counterfetcher.exe is something we included in, in the SolarWinds product set, just in case. Whatever.
Right. Okay. And then the native capability, the PDH API call. So again, this is native to the operating system. This ability to actually, leverage what's there, leverage what's in the operating system, and do that natively.
Perfect. So I said we would talk more about the default, the top item before. A lot of times it gets overlooked. People think it's the, please pick one. It's not. Default means that it's going to try the most appropriate other methodology in order until it finds one that works. So in most cases, that's the one you're going to want to stick with.
Right. And in most cases with things inside the product, the default configuration is probably what you want to stick with, unless you know you need to change that.